I always approached the world from a completely different angle because I couldn't go and buy anything. I mean, when you're a runaway with a high school dropout or whatever, like your resources are probably going to be fairly limited.
My first impression of Gallum was he seemed like he was a part of some form of counterculture, and in that sense it excited me.
I noticed that we had a lot of space in our basement, so I asked all my roommates if it'd be cool if we had somebody crash in the basement for that quarter, and everybody was cool with it. So.
Well, Pat told me that this guy and him were going to work on a project together, and some video project, and that he was going to move in for 3 weeks.
I said that my dude wanted to move into the basement. He would buy groceries, pay some of the bills, and that was about it. And they were like, yeah, that's cool, you know. $50 a month, I think, also. And
then one day, Gallum showed up and went down in our basement, and after about a week he had painted it because it was just like a concrete hole in the wall, essentially, literally a hole in the wall.
I like the idea of using something that was completely unconsidered as a useful space, that sort of using, you know, recycling something that was utterly useless and making it a productive space. And I had to do a big set of paintings at the time, so I thought it would be really cool to lock myself in a crappy basement and paint for a month. Yeah.
Some of the initial problems were that he wasn't getting the money in on time, that people just didn't like having him be in the basement. It was kind of creepy. And yeah, just general anxieties about him being in the house.
The only reason I was okay with it to begin with is that I thought he'd be helping pay for rent. And I knew everyone in the house was low on cash, including myself, and I thought it'd be worth the extra, having an extra person in the house if that person was gonna help contribute to like the utilities and the rent.
I don't think there wasn't really anything spoken up in any specifics. It was a fairly casual exchange. It was like, hey, this is Gallum.
I guess my problem is that like all of us in this house have had to work like over break or other times to like sustain ourselves, to pay for our food and the likes, and it's bothersome to me that not only did Gallum have to borrow all this money to pay back partially like what he owes us, but he hasn't actively pursued a job, although someone told me he's working at a Hooley's now. I don't know the details of that.
When we finally talked, it didn't really seem like there was that many literal things, like, and any of the literal things which were just like common housey stuff, like I was way more mindful of. But I usually give disclaimers to people that I live with that I'm extraordinarily absent-minded, and that if you just say, hey, will you do this, like I'm happy to do it. And it just doesn't cross my mind that, like, because when I see that sink full of dishes or I see the mess in the living room, I don't have the same response to it.
I felt pretty manipulated during the process of allowing Gallum to stay here because I love Pat, but Pat wasn't honest with us about what was happening, and that does concern me. So I guess I have to be able to trust the people who are telling me things and believe that they're telling me things in an open and honest way about what's really happening. And I know Pat wanted to like help Gallum out, and that's fine, but that's not what he said to me.
How did Pat approach the situation?
Well, he just told me they were working on this project, and after 3 weeks, the Gallum would be going, and that it was a temporary thing, and that he would be paying, a good substantial amount of rent.
Like, I'm a creative person. I do audio production and everything. So when I see other creativity in other people, I want to work with them. So that was initially what brought me towards him. And he seemed like a nice guy. So I'd known him for a while.
My personal position will be, if Gallum gets a job, that he can actually pay a good, more than just 1/5 of the utilities, and that's it. Like, he should have to pay part of rent or pay for our food or do something, and contribute more around the house. I don't know how many conversations we have to talk about cleanliness and it not happening.
In the future, everybody's going to be cool. Like, the relationships between everybody has developed to a point now where we're all cool with everything. So I think it's going to be cool in the future. I mean, we don't have that much more time at this house. So I don't know, I think as long as he keeps, having his job and being able to pay and just being cool with everybody, I think it'll be all right.
The things that are important to other people generally aren't the things that are important to me. Most people feel comforted by like a clean, organized, comfortable environment, and I would rather be in an environment that all of my importance is based on creating.